Welcome to 3 Words Can Stop a Scam, a basic survival podcast for anyone looking to avoid scams and deceptive marketing. I'm Dave Grillo. For 20 years, I coordinated a consumer awareness and fraud prevention program for the Shrewsbury Council on Aging in Shrewsbury, Massachusetts. I now volunteer for a senior citizen fraud helpline. I am not a professional, but I do obsess over how I can help keep fraud and scams from hurting people, especially the innocent and vulnerable. Maybe through this podcast, I'll even help you. Episode 1 will introduce the 3 words and explain their importance. Subsequent podcast episodes will discuss the things that we all do to get ourselves in trouble. And I will specifically look at how we are tricked while watching television, while using our phones and the internet, when we answer the door, look at our mail, when we donate, and when we invest. I believe that just 3 words can help you to be safer. So please join me as I offer a simple guide to avoiding scams and deceptive marketing. Episode 1, the 3 words. If you don't have the time or the desire to learn all there is to know about scams and deceptive marketing practices, I offer 3 words. Stop, verify, which is just a fancy way of saying check it out, and resources. Let's look at a typical day. Does any of this sound familiar? The phone rings. Do you always answer it? Do you know for sure who it is? Do you have voicemail? Some of us know that as an answering machine. What does the little window on your phone, caller ID, say? Let me tell you about my last 10 phone calls. 5 were from towns in Massachusetts that I'm familiar with, but I didn't expect phone calls from. The numbers were unfamiliar. 2 were from Ohio. 1 was from Georgia. 1 was from California. And 1 was my son. That's a typical day. They're the expected calls, the ones that we know are coming from our family and from our friends. Maybe the doctor's office is getting back to you, or a business is getting back to you. The automotive place where you put your car's ready, those sorts of things. So you look at the number, you look at the name, and you feel pretty confident that that's them. Then there's the unexpected calls you get, but they're familiar. You say, okay, I'm pretty sure that this is who I think it is. Then there's the unexpected. I gave you my list. 9 out of 10, I didn't know who they were. I wasn't sure about them. What could they be? Solicitations? Scams? I'm not sure. In my case, I let my calls go to the answer machine. So when you get calls, do you respond? Why do you respond? We told our kids not to talk to strangers, but then we don't heed our own advice. Now granted, usually there are no consequences, and we usually can size up the situation. But when it comes to what comes at us through our phones and through the internet and some of these things, we're not always sure. And why do we respond? Are you just being polite? You learn to be polite? Are you being trusting? Having worked with so many senior groups, I found that they're very trusting, and that can get them into a lot of trouble. Are you curious? Are you lonely? And I'm going to discuss that more in full in the second episode. Loneliness, very tragic, and it can lead to some dire consequences when people who are lonely just feel they have to respond to the unfamiliar. Now let's turn to your phone and the internet and being online. You get your emails, you get your text messages. Do you check with your emails? Do you go up in that little address window up on the left side? On our envelopes, on our mail, is the return address. There's a little box here that says www or HTTPS, and there's some words after it. What does it say? Is it familiar? It could be from Amazon, and it says Amazon.com. It could claim to be from Amazon, and it could be a bunch of numbers and letters that are really strange. Probably a scam. Do you click on links? Are you familiar with the link? I get sent links from people that I know really well, but I won't click on them because I don't know what's in them. And they're sent to me in good faith, but again, they may not know what's in them. So there's a way to look up, if you want that information, to look it up independently, but people do get into trouble for that. You might get surveys, you might get sweepstakes, all things that, even though on the appearance look good, may harbor some really dangerous roads that you don't want to go down on. I'm going to talk a little bit in future podcasts about TV and radio ads. Now, there you're more likely to be dealing with deceptive marketing than you are scams. For instance, so I'm watching TV and I see ads for life insurance for $9.99. I'm watching TV and I'm seeing ads for home warranties to protect you in case something goes wrong with your home. Car warranties, medical equipment, weight loss, all those things. And there's details that go with those. The details are really, really important. May sound good on its surface, but unless you explore those details, you may be getting into something that's really good for the marketer, but not really good for you. You also get the stuff in the mail, and you can go through that. Is that something that serves you well, or does it just serve the marketer well? And then, of course, there's the knocks on your door. If it's not the neighborhood kids doing a fundraiser, are you sure you really want to respond to that? It's easy to be drawn into the traps, very easy. We're curious, we may be lonely. One thing that gets a lot of people into trouble is just the urgency. There's a sense of urgency. You get a phone call, you see something online, it says there's a threat. If you don't do this, you're going to be arrested. If you don't do this, your account is going to be in trouble. We're vulnerable. We have life events. There are deaths. There's divorce, job losses. We're also vulnerable because if you're on social media and you're using Facebook to share with your friends your vacation in Aruba, there's a lot of other people that you may not be aware of that are also finding out you're in Aruba. And boy, there's nobody at your house. Good time to break in. There's fear of missing out. So you get an offer for sweepstakes or clothing or cryptocurrency. And if you don't get in now, the offer is going to go by and you're going to have missed out. We're overconfident. Can't happen to me. I know better. With my experience, I can say I know it happens to other people. I've had my own experiences. I get those phone calls. I get the ones from the IRS. You're in trouble. I know better. And I do know better now. But in the past, my wife and I, we had newly married. There was an offer for a buying club. We were broke. For real cheap, we could buy furniture. We did it, and then the details got us into something that was very, very costly. Fortunately, with the help the Attorney General, we were able to get out of it. But it was a good learning experience as far as how smart we weren't. But you get a lot of this stuff and you figure it must be legit. They know so much about me. So how could anyone know all this and not be someone that I should trust? Well, think of all the people you've provided information to. Do a Google search. See what you find. Put your name in. You'll find some things. Maybe you'll find your name and where you live and your phone number, and you'll be surprised. A lot of people that do more advanced searches who are up to no good that will find out more about you. And then there's a thing called the dark web. That's where a lot of the criminals live. It's where all sorts of information, social security numbers, things that over time people have accumulated on you can be found. We choose convenience. We choose easy. It's easy just to click on this link. It's easy just to look at this website, even if we're not sure that it's secure. I'm a stranger. Could you trust me? I'm not saying you should. If I come right out and I ask you for money or personal information, you'll probably stop me right there. Most of you will be able to do that. But what if I find a way to manipulate you or develop a relationship over time? You might trust me. Now I'm in. So back to the 3 words. If you don't hear anything else I say, stop, verify, resources. What's stop mean? Stop means whether you know who the caller is or you don't, stop. Just stop. You don't have to answer that phone call. If it's someone you know, if it's someone you need to hear from, they'll leave a message on your voicemail. Unless you know who it is, that's probably the best way to go. Most of the calls I get, again, I'd say 90% of them are from people I don't know. I don't know the number. I don't know the location that they're calling from, and they won't leave a message. So that's probably something that's not in my best interest to have answered. There's no need to engage in a phone call. So stop. Now, that may be it. Now you're done. But what if you just can't help it? What if you have to know? What if for some reason you decide that you want to respond? Well, then verify it. By verify, I mean check it out. Take the time to do the research and verify the source that contacted you. There are ways to obtain that legitimate contact information. For instance, if you get a call or an email that claims to be from your credit card company, look on the back of your credit card. Their number is there. Correspondence that you've received from anybody you do business with. There's probably something there that says what their legitimate phone number is, what their legitimate email is. Don't respond unless you've checked that out to make sure. And if you're not sure, if somebody calls and claims to be from your bank, and it sounds kind of fishy, call your bank. Say, I got this phone call. Is this you? Did you do that? I've done that before and found out from them, no, that's a scam. Thanks for letting us know, but it's a good thing that you didn't pick that up. So the last thing is your resources. You have your family, you have your friends, you have your social group, you have church, you have the police, you have all the people in the local community that you feel you can talk to. You also have other resources. For seniors, you have senior centers and local and statewide elder programs. There's a senior fraud helpline in Worcester, which I volunteer for. Nationally, there's AARP. They have a Fraud Watch Network helpline. They also have a really great podcast I recommend called The Perfect Scam. And you can go on there and learn all sorts of scams and how they took place. It's really good. They're rather brief, but you'll learn a lot from that. Next time, I want to talk to you on the second episode about red flags, and I want to talk more about how we hurt ourselves. I'd like to acknowledge Shrewsbury Media Connection for sponsoring this podcast and for the helpful guidance that they've given me. Oh, and one last thing. I have a special offer. If you respond in the next 10 minutes, I'll send you a lifetime pass for the Cape Cod Canal Tunnel for only $25. There's a lot of benefits attached. You get to avoid the traffic hassle of going over the bridges, which anyone who's familiar with Cape Cod is very aware of. You avoid paying the toll each time you use the tunnel, and you avoid any future increases to the cost of the toll. Oh, one last thing. There is no Cape Cod Canal Tunnel. Do you still want the deal? Till next time.